if salvation is to live divine life and divine life is communal, then salvation is communal.
Okay.
It's being united with God and all of the others who are united with God, which means the church is not accidental to salvation. It's the beginning of salvation.
Okay.
Okay, so the unity of the church is essential to what she is. As Lumen Gentium said, she's as a sacrament or sign and instrument of a closely knit union with God and of the unity of the whole human race. So the church symbolizes and affects the unity of man with God and the unity of all mankind.
Yep.
That's what she is in her essence. So the argument is that the what we understand, as St. Paul says in 1 Corinthians, we are, though many are one body, for all partake of the one bread, right? Is not the cup of blessing that we bless a communion, it's koinonia, a communion in the blood of Christ? Is not the bread that we break a communion in the body of Christ? Therefore, we, though many, are one, for we all partake of the one body, or the one bread. The Eucharist is the source of our unity as the church.
Yep.
Even St. Thomas Aquinas says this, right? The res tantum, the effect of the sacrament of the Eucharist, is the bond of charity of the members of the church. So the unity of the church is the res of the sacrament of the Eucharist, the thing, the effect that it has. So that's what the Eucharist does. It unifies us as the body of Christ, which means it must be celebrated in unity. Okay, so unity is therefore the effect, and that means it can only be properly celebrated in universal communion. So you have to have these means of maintaining communion.
I missed that step.
Both yes.
It has to be celebrated in universal communion? What does that mean?
Meaning that the different celebrations of the Eucharist must be in communion with one another for them to be what they are.
Okay.
Right, to celebrate, this is what the early church fathers were saying, right? You don't go to the table to the altar of a schismatic, right? So you need to have communion on the local level, and that's where the bishop comes into play. And you need to have communion on the universal level to keep all of the local churches one church throughout the world and throughout time. So, and to be professing one faith. So there must be a means, a structure by which the church can maintain her identity throughout the globe and throughout time. So across time. So it's diachronic and synchronic unity.
Okay.
And basically the argument is that the papacy is the office that serves the universal communion of the church through space and time, so that the Eucharist can be celebrated properly, and those celebrating the Eucharist can receive that as members of the one church established by Christ, right? Which is part of what the Eucharist means. So the idea there is that it's a Eucharistic office, meaning, so this is actually something Benedict XVI is known for. It's not a direct quote, it's actually someone, Baptiste Mondin, said this about him, that even more than orthodoxy, the chief role of the Pope is to serve Eucharist.
Wow.
The right celebration of the Eucharist. And
what does that mean? What does the right celebration of the Eucharist mean?
That it's celebrated properly, which means with right belief, you could argue right way it's supposed to be done, but that it is done in universal communion, because that's what the Eucharist means.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.